guys, it's time for a book review. Oh yes. I know I asked you in the previous video what you wanted to see more of, but I haven't gotten any responses yet because I just posted the video today and I also need to film something for next week, like now, because this is when I have time. So feel free to still leave comments about what you'd like to see more of. Do you want to see more book reviews, more vlogs about writing, a vlog or two about me? Let's be honest, nobody wants that, but I had to throw it in there because I'm vain as fuck. Or more book tags. Comment below on this video or the last video, any video, and let me know what you want to see. This is your chance to boss me around. Why on earth would you pass up that opportunity? So today our book review is of Invasion of the Tearling, the second book in a series. I read The Queen of the Tearling a while back and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my favorite book or anything, but when I just randomly happened to see Invasion of the Tearling at my library, I was like, okay, this is probably some kind of sign. I should read this one now. So let's read the Goodreads synopsis on my trusty laptop. With each passing day, Kelsey Glynn is growing into her new responsibilities as Queen of the Tearling. By stopping the shipments of slaves to the neighboring kingdom of Mortmain, she crossed the Red Queen, a brutal ruler whose power derives from dark magic, who is sending her fearsome army into the Tearling to take what is hers, and nothing can stop the invasion. But as the Mort army draws ever closer, Kelsey develops a mysterious connection to a time before the crossing, and she finds herself relying on a strange and possibly dangerous ally, a woman named Lily, fighting for her life in a world where being female can feel like a crime. The fate of the Tearling and that of Kelsey's own soul may rest with Lily and her story, but Kelsey might not have enough time to find out. Boy, that's a lot of bullshit right there. That is a dishonest synopsis. But holy fuck. People really love this book. Well, this is about to get awkward. I suppose I should begin by saying that this book is high fantasy, and I'm not really a fan of high fantasy, so that might slightly affect my feelings on this book. However, I don't think that's all of the problem that I have with this book. In fact, I have a lot of problems with this book. Oh boy. So let's just start. We're just gonna go with characters first, because the characters are the most important part of a story for me. Personally, I love characters, and if characters are done well, I will forgive almost any other failing in a book. Like Lair of Dreams. That book had problems coming out every which way, but I still enjoyed the characters, so I didn't give it as low of a rating as I normally would have. Very forgiving if there's engaging characters. So, 3 guesses what this book didn't have. In fact, just 1 guess. I think you got this. You can get it. Let's start with Kelsey, our hero, our Queen of the Tearling. If you remember from the last book, she was trying to come into her own as the queen, trying to figure out where and how to make rulings, trying to step out from the shadow of her captain of the guard, who could essentially have just taken over for her. She was constantly under threat of assassination, and so what has become of this confused but brave woman trying to find her place and herself as the queen? Well, Kelsey in the last book could be summed up as 1 character trait. Good. Kelsey is good. Fundamentally good, and that is basically all you need to know about her, apparently. In this book, Kelsey has even less character. I think she's trying to have more, but instead she just ends up being really confused and very bland. Kelsey is just there now, and she has super uber magic powers that she didn't completely have in the previous book, but now she has a lot more mastery over, and so she doesn't have to struggle anymore to be the queen. The struggle is gone. Everyone essentially is just like, yep, she's the queen now. Assassination attempts, basically gone. There was like 1, but it completely failed. So I was looking forward to more of Kelsey from the previous book, where she's still unsure, she's still trying to figure out her way, but at least she's making choices that she knows are for the good of the little people. But now Kelsey is super dangerous. She's darker. She's so angry. See, Kelsey is supposedly a really angry person now. Her temper is out of control, which I never really see. Like maybe once or twice she gets mad. At one point there's an execution where she goes a little bit crazy violent, but that doesn't seem like anger out of control. That just seems like her bloodlust getting out of control. But because of this horrible temper that she has, she cuts herself. Using her power, she can open cuts on herself. And this book is not a place where you want to deal with any heavy subjects, and the author tries to deal with so many. And the representation of self-harm is very poorly done. The explanation of self-harm, it's frustrating. It's simplified down to its most core element. Oh, I don't like this about myself, so I'm going to cut myself. And that's not a character. That's not a character. And that's not a character who self-harms, definitely. And she randomly has this bloodlust going on now, which I think may be because this evil shadow creature that used to be following the Red Queen is now interested in Kelsey. But it's so poorly explained that I honestly have no idea if it is causing her random bloodlust and violence, or if she just turned out to be a terrible person and people should definitely be worried that she's their queen. And again I ask, why is she now the undisputed queen? In the previous book she had such a tenuous hold on her queenship, and that was interesting. But now she's just the queen, and everybody accepts it. And everybody does what she says for the most part, and when they don't, she flays them alive. So yeah, what happened in the in-between? I need to know. Other characters, there's the Mace, or Lazarus, her captain of the guard, who in the previous book had a really interesting dynamic with her, in that he was older, he was more experienced, and he could essentially tell her what to do. She had no choice but to listen to him because he was the only one keeping her alive because of the constant assassination attempts. And even then he wasn't doing a terribly good job. So she was pretty much screwed without him, and he had so much control over her, and I love the dynamic of knowing that if he ever decided to exercise that power, she would be in so much trouble and she would not be able to rule. But in this one, he's totally just her lackey, her loyal captain of the guard. He doesn't really question her ever. And again, when did this happen? When did this happen? And why does she suddenly have his, like, undying loyalty? He was loyal in the previous book because he had orders to be. Here, he's loyal now. Why? Why? Why anything in this book? We get a slight romance with the guard Penn, who I know a lot of people ship with Kelsey. I have a hard time shipping him because he's such a non-existent person that I don't know if they would go well together or not. It's like clacking two rocks together, their romance. There's nothing from either of them. The Fetch is hardly in this book at all. I guess I don't really care. He wasn't like my favorite character from the last book. But it's weird that he was pretty prominent in the last book and just completely, like, he's in like one scene where he randomly shows up to be handsome and mysterious, and then he's gone again. And the Red Queen, oh man, the Red Queen. She is as impotent as ever. She is not threatening, she is not scary, her army is not. I don't understand why she's built up to be this scary badass, because there is nothing about the Red Queen that is scary. In this book, Kelsey and her violent magic powers is way scarier than the Red Queen in either of the books. The Red Queen keeps slaves, therefore she is evil and a horrible power somehow. She has a big army. She's so pointless. And she has a general whose name is pronounced Ducat, which reminded me, of course, of Gul Dukat from Deep Space Nine. And therefore, throughout the entire story, anytime his name was mentioned, I was picturing a Cardassian. That's what happened. Also in this book, there are multiple timelines, as was mentioned in the synopsis, where Kelsey starts getting flashbacks, ancestral memories of this woman who lived before the crossing, which we learn about later, what that was exactly, how we came to be in this medieval magic world. And her name's Lily, and I was more interested in Lily's story, and clearly so was the author. I wasn't sure why the author hadn't just written a companion book to the series starring Lily and just let that stand on its own. Because Lily's stuff, even though it was still very cliched and kind of poorly done, was way more engaging to everyone involved than anything Kelsey and her bunch of yahoos were up to. And I felt like the author felt the same way. I felt like all of the author's love and attention went into the Lily stuff.